G'day and welcome to another episode of Kiwi Car Life, and this is a Toyota Crown Athlete. As the name suggests, it was Toyota's attempt at making an athletic sports sedan to rival the BMW 5 Series. But the interesting thing with this is that unlike the 90s, which was the golden era of Toyota's performance cars, where they had the Supra, the MR2, the Celica, and the Altezza, which were all pretty great cars, and then of course today you have all of the new GR products. This, in my mind, came out of Toyota's snoozefest era, where there really wasn't a single interesting car that came out of the late 2000s. And so I've been assured that this really is a BMW 5 Series competitor, and as I am a bit of a BMW fan myself, we're going to see if the Toyota Crown Athlete really is up to the task of being a sports sedan from Toyota. The engine certainly lives up to the standard, as it is the 2GR FSE, known for being a very, very powerful V6 engine, even more so than the VQ that Nissan put in the 350Z. This is a 3.5 litre double cam V6, and it makes a whopping 236 kilowatt or 315 horsepower and 380 newton meters of torque. As I mentioned, well more than all of the Nissan VQ35s, and even more than some of BMW's V8s that they put in like the E65 series from this particular generation. It's paired up with a 6-speed automatic transmission. In typical luxury sports sedan fashion, power goes to the rear wheels. And with this one being the Athlete model, it also has a few other quite remarkable things, like adjustable dampers. There is a switch inside that allows you to stiffen up the suspension, and revised exterior styling with different bumpers, twin exhausts, and a new grille here at the front. The interior though, that's definitely this car's greatest asset. Where a BMW 5 Series is definitely a luxury car, but is far more focused on being a sporty drive, this is all about luxury and nothing more. The gauges look like an expensive watch. The steering wheel isn't a traditional 3-spoke sporty steering wheel that you would expect. It's got keyless entry, push button start, it's got a massive screen here in the middle, which of course here in New Zealand, where we don't speak Japanese, is completely useless, but at the time it would have been pretty cool to see. It's got dual zone climate control for you and your passenger. You even have your own little personal screen here to see exactly what your temperature is, and a feature that is truly unheard of in anything other than probably the Toyota Crown is that up here there is a button which turns on the swing function, so that rather than the air vents constantly blowing a stream of air at you like an ordinary German car, this will actually continually move the air around so that it's not always blowing in your face. Truly remarkable. The seats are supremely comfortable, definitely not the aggressively bolstered M Sport seats that you'd get in the 5 Series. They're far more focused on luxury. And there's even switches back here so that the backseat passengers can adjust the front seat should they decide they need a little bit more legroom. Speaking of the back seats, I've been told apparently these could even be spec'd with a mini fridge in the middle. Also, you could have screens in the back seat so that you could watch movies as you drive along. This would have been a pretty impressive car, especially if it had a fridge at the back. I'd love to have that in my car. Driving the Toyota Crown Athlete. And if this is what Toyota considers to be an athlete, well then, gee, I don't know what they'd consider to be an Usain Bolt, because this thing is impressive, man. That makes every bit of 240 kilowatt. I literally just got out of a manual Nissan 350Z, which in theory only makes like 5 kilowatt less than this, but even that feels way slower. This thing is... holy hang, this thing's quick, eh? And it sounds so much better than the VQ. Oh, transmission's not great, but that's a much nicer noise, man. Way nicer noise. Now, the problem with this car is that it might be an athlete in terms of straight line performance, but it is most definitely not an athlete in terms of handling. And that's an area where the BMW has a significant advantage. The steering is very vague. Transmission doesn't have a proper manual mode, so while the gear ratios are a pretty acceptable length, I've got it locked in 3rd gear at the moment, but if I put my foot down, rather than using the torque through 3rd, yeah, downshifts into second, which gets kind of annoying if you just sort of want to hold it in a high gear and put your foot down, but you know, just use the torque the engine has available. The 5 Series might not have as many features and it might not be as reliable, but the gearbox alone is so much better because, you know, when you push the pedal it upshifts and you can stay on the throttle, whereas this will always have to redline every single gear. But moving on from the transmission, the rest of the car is lovely and definitely well and truly matches a BMW in terms of comfort and refinement. The engine is nice and quiet when you want it to be. The ride quality is excellent. The steering is light and easy. Handling is average, to say the least. It's rear-wheel drive, which is good, so it does leave the front to just sort of do the steering, but it's definitely, feels like a big car. You don't sit that low in it, the steering feels pretty vague. And I guess that's where something like an M Sport BMW, it can be comfortable, but it can also eat up a back road. And while this, I guess, can sort of do it, and it certainly has the power, it just doesn't really feel like a sports sedan. It just feels like a nice sedan that just happens to have a sporty engine, I suppose. So, definitely the best part about this car is the engine. That's absolutely fantastic. Man, this thing is absolutely ballistic. I reckon this thing's faster than my M135. You can smack it off rev limiter. It's got that typical Toyota popcorn limiter, which I absolutely love. And the transmission, so long as you're redlining every gear, shifts hard and firm, but it's only good at 10/10ths. This was the exact same problem that I had with my Lexus ISF, and that you could actually hold it in gears, but below 4,000 RPM it was sloppy, it was slow to respond, it wouldn't rev match, so it was jerky going down gears. This is all the same problems as that, but it's got longer gears because it's a 6-speed rather than an 8-speed, and it doesn't let you hold it in specific ratios, so it's just a really average gearbox, unfortunately. So, engine, very good. Transmission, very average. Interior, lovely and comfortable, but as a result the handling is a little bit sloppy, to say the least. Definitely let down by the lack of steering feel and the aggressive traction control that we just had kicking in there. So, is the Crown an athlete? Yes, but it's at best a 100-meter sprinter. For it to truly be a sports sedan in my books, it needs to be lighter, it needs to have better steering feel, and it needs a transmission that you can properly control. But that's my thoughts on the Crown Athlete. What are your thoughts on one of these? You can pick them up for less than 10 grand these days, and they're probably over 100 grand new. What do you think? Would you buy one of these? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll look forward to seeing you again next time.